Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the J Moore Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hey everyone, happy Friday to you. It is April 17th, 2026. It's great to be with you here on the J Moore Tech Talk Show. I'm John, if you're new here. By the way, if this is your very first time, I want to say welcome and thank you for choosing to join me here. If you have been here before or you've come here many times, I want to say thank you, and I want to say, of course, the words welcome back. Thank you so much for choosing to be here. Today was a very, very special day for me and my parents. I actually dedicated the book, which I'm holding here, Drained to Driven. More information about the book and including the episode actually today, 1:30 p.m. on April 17th, where I actually dedicated the book to my parents. I did a live interview with them. Can all be found, as well as my other resources, by visiting believemeachieve.com. The question is, when you are drained, do you let that stop you from your goals and aspirations? Or do you recognize the draining as a signal to change your course so you don't go into full shutdown? See, most people think that shutdown happens or burnout happens and then you can't do anything. That's not what happens. What happens in burnout is you get apathy for things. I won't get into that now, but very excited about that book. So, again, it is a hardcover book, guys. Yes, it is. And it is now cataloged with the United States Library of Congress. We're excited about that as well. All right, guys. Don't forget to check out believemeachieve.com, as I said. And if you're thirsty, if you're hungry or what have you, feel free to go get yourself something. I have my RO water here with delicious fresh lemon inside. So let's just kick this show off, all right? Okay, everyone. So tech is exposing everything right now. This is Series 5. It is Show 16. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, graduate student, lifelong learner, and yes, I'm now a published author. So grateful to be able to say that. So tonight's episode is not just about what technology is doing. It's about what it is revealing. Yes. Right now, the biggest shift in tech is not innovation. I don't know if you guys know that. It is not innovation. Let me say that one more time. It is not innovation. It is exposure. You see, systems we trusted are being tested. Processes we relied upon are being questioned. And the risks that stayed hidden are now being uncovered faster than ever before. You know, ladies and gentlemen, AI is not just helping anymore. It is exposing weaknesses and scaling them. It is identifying vulnerabilities, revealing gaps, and testing systems in ways never before mentionable or even possible before. If one system can be breached, the real question becomes, what else is going to be vulnerable next? Security is no longer about size, guys. It's about awareness. At the same time, AI is growing fast, but pushback is growing too. Communities, governments, and industries are starting to question the impact. This is no longer just about innovation, guys. It is about control, cost, and consequences. And I think that's something that a lot of people you don't realize. And we need to be aware of that, guys. We need to be aware of that. So the new AI model, yes, it's triggering urgent risk talks. And this is not just innovations. It's a warning, guys. The UK regulators and major banks are rushing to assess the risks posed by powerful new artificial intelligence models, quote unquote AI. It is already finding thousands of system vulnerabilities. AI is not just advancing, guys. It is exposing everything. I mean, everything. You know, even world-class institutions are targets. Hackers just breached a major museum system, but nothing was stolen this time. That's a warning. Next time it could be worse. No system is untouchable anymore. And guys, the fact that they didn't get anything, I think was actually the plan. I don't think they want anything. I think they wanted to learn about the system so they could gain, well, knowledge and insights so they could hack and break in better later. The hidden cost of AI is not just financial, guys. It's infrastructure, energy, and long-term dependency. What looks efficient on the surface has deeper impact underneath, but a lot of people, they just don't want to accept that, all right? So AI is facing real-world pushback. This is not some baloney here. Communities and governments are pushing back against massive data centers driven by, yes, full-scale AI growth. The concerns, as I said, are over energy usage costs and local impact. They're slowly taking things down or blocking the projects. AI is no longer just a tech issue, guys. It is a global issue, a global geopolitical issue. And I think when we now understand that, that should explain to you why things are the way they are, And it's not that we're going to be able to solve this in one day, guys. I got to tell you that it's not that we're going to solve it in one day. No, that's not happening. What's going to happen is we're going to get insights and we're going to understand why things work a certain way and why they don't work a certain way. That's how this is all going to function. And I think if we understand that one concept, we're light years ahead of where AI is right now. I think that's a very important thing for a lot of people to definitely understand. All right, guys. So that's important. Your data, guys, is more valuable than you think. Every action creates data. Every device collects information, and every interaction builds patterns. And those patterns are analyzed very carefully and constantly. And you might say, John, well, what's the big deal? Well, plenty, guys. This is not just AI anymore. This is about regulation. The European Union is even reviewing whether ChatGPT qualifies for stricter rules about, well, crossing massive user thresholds. And I think this is something a lot of people don't see coming, but I think as you use it every day, you'll probably understand it. If it's approved, it could face tighter controls and oversight. And AI is moving from innovation now to regulation fast. And it's because of the scares that people are seeing. And this is not to put a fear in your cap, but it's to make you aware of what's happening. And there's other companies out there that do things like ChatGPT, and they're saying we're like ChatGPT without censorships. But the thing you have to realize with a lot of these companies is your data really safe? In ChatGPT, they have ways that you can actually suppress your data by, making sure the model is not improved. And I think these are things that a lot of people don't realize. A lot of these other companies, and I'm not going to name them, they're not doing the right thing. Not today, not tomorrow, not in the past, and definitely not in the future. And if this type of behavior and pattern consistency, well, keep going forward, this could be a major, major problem. Okay. I think if we understand these things, we may not have the answers, but we may at least know how to get the answers. And so everybody says to me, John, AI will solve everything. Nope. AI sometimes doesn't solve anything. AI sometimes creates more problems. Now, AI is not good. AI is not bad. AI is a tool, but AI makes mistakes lots of time. Do humans make mistakes? Yes, they do. But AI makes them so profusely and so out of scale that they could cause major disasters. Major disasters. That's a big problem, guys. And you might say, John, this is never going to affect me. Okay, fine. It's never going to affect you. But let's just suppose that it did affect you. Okay, let's suppose that for just one moment that it did affect you. And that can be a serious, very, very big problem. Okay, AI is growing fast. as I said, people are pushing back. And the hidden costs of AI now are bigger than most ever fathom could be possible. And with your data being so valuable than you think, there are bad actors out there, guys, that are looking for your data. Why do they want your data? Well, it's not just your data. It's a pool of data. They get paid for each amount of data that they procure. Let's say they're trying to find all the people in America that are someone that likes something or dislikes something. That data could be very valuable because maybe the market is not sharing what that data is actually about. And I think that's something that to this day, people are going to have problems understanding what that means. Okay. That's big, guys. That is really, really big. And ladies and gentlemen, privacy is not disappearing overnight. It is fading quietly. Small permissions, repeated access, and gradual exposure increase visibility over time. Most people do not notice it happening. And just because they don't notice it doesn't mean it isn't happening. So let's talk about some subtle shifts in your life, okay? Maybe you're learning something, but maybe you're not seeing that right away. And the reason you're not seeing it right away is very simple. You don't understand the fact that things are moving ahead. Now, you might say, I'm going to try to prevent progress. Go ahead. Things are still going to move ahead. You might maybe slow them down, but you are not going to stall them completely. Okay? That's important, right? That is very, very important to understand. And if you understand that, then I can tell you how these things actually will affect you. And if you know how they affect you, then maybe you'll understand one thing. You'll understand that they're going to affect you and that they're going to affect another. Yeah. I know, ladies and gentlemen, that you're probably saying to me, this doesn't apply to me, right? The visibility rule is not going to be something you care about, but you should care about it. And ladies and gentlemen, tech CEOs could face jail time. This is not just about policies anymore, guys. This is personal accountability. The United Kingdom is really not fooling around anymore. And they are moving to jail tech executives if the platform fails to remove non-consensual images fast enough. Now, no compliance could mean prison, not just fines. The rules are changing and leadership is now on the line. And the reason that this is becoming so serious and the reason they're imposing things like jail time is because of the consequences they're causing to the population. Consequences that will make it very difficult for people to understand, for people to realize. It's almost like a clickbaiting, if you will. Maybe not. But this clickbaiting is something that I feel a lot of people don't understand. They don't realize why it's happening. And the reason why it's happening, I'm going to tell you, it's because they can do it, because they can. And I said to you guys before, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Let me say that one more time. Just because you can or just because you should doesn't mean, or I should say just because you could doesn't mean you should. Just because you could doesn't mean you should. Now, most people do not notice these things happening. And because of that, they figure, well, you know what? I'm probably safe. But probably safe, I think that's something you probably should think again about. Meta recently pulls ads tied to addiction lawsuits. Yeah, this is not just public relations, guys. This is pressure. Meta removed ads recruiting users for lawsuits claiming social media harms mental health. Thousands of cases are building and stakes are rising fast. The fight over social media impact is getting real very fast. And you might say, John, but this is kind of blown out of the water. Well, maybe you don't understand what's happening and maybe you don't get it, but I want to tell you something. They're reacting because people are threatening to bring lawsuits against them. Okay. The biggest risks today, guys, are not the loud screaming ones. They are the quiet ones. The small mistakes cost more than big attacks. Let me say that again. The small mistakes, the little errors that you think, oh, that's no big deal. That's costing people more money. And in some cases, opening Pandora's box for them to get in. Weak passwords, outdated systems, and simple habits create openings. Most breaches, guys, rely on basic vulnerabilities. I think that's an important thing, guys. Hackers do not always break in. They wait. They wait for access, for mistakes, for openings. Most of those openings already exist because of your daily behavior. So what can I say about this, guys? We need to become aware of what is going on. Okay. Got to be aware of that. And ladies and gentlemen, gamers are being recruited now for air traffic control. Yes, this is not a joke, folks. This is a staffing crisis. The United States is targeting gamers to fill high-pressure air traffic control seat roles. Fast decisions, focus, and reaction speed are now real-world job skills. What you play might shape your future career. But, I have to say that weapons and military and the army and all the different special armed forces, they're not a game. They're real. But what I've learned from our government is that if there's something they can do to exploit or to, let's say, accelerate their trajectory, guess what? They are going to do it. They're going to do it over and over and over again. And I think that's something that a lot of people here don't really get. They don't get the fact that this can be done over and over again. And now that you understand this, I want you to think about one other thing. I want you to think about the fact that, again, it's not a joke. Okay? The U.S. is targeting gamers to fill the high-pressure seats. As I said, fast decisions. And, the people that they're recruiting, they don't have any kind of real world war or military experience. So maybe it's a prerequisite, but they're definitely not ready to go live on the battlefield, guys. They're hardly qualified to even play a game. And I don't know about you, but thinking about a game for a moment and maybe getting killed in the game is a lot different than getting killed in real life. But what I've learned from different people like Dr. Wayne Phillips and many others, I'll tell you, this game is not done on accident. It is done on purpose. Why? I'll tell you why. Because they're getting inside people's heads to get them to change their thoughts and their perception to think it's okay to be in the army or the military. Now, if you want to serve, that's fine. But they're making it seem more like a game, and it is not a game. In fact, back in the, I think it was around the late 90s, people were associating games with the military, and they were getting very upset and very angry. Now, you know what they're doing? They're going right back to that tactic. And they're bringing people into the military that don't even want to be there, let alone be qualified. They don't even have the mental aptitude. And I think that is a very, very big problem. Okay. And you might say that this is different. It's very, very different. And the reason it's different now is because the fact that our government and many other, let's say, organizations are saying, what do we need to do to recruit people? And we've talked about the rules, ethics and morals, right? Ethics are involved because of rules, guidelines, different operating procedures. Morals are there because of something you've done that is right in your eyes, right? Is this something that I can live with, that I can go to sleep with at night? That's a very interesting point. Okay. And I'll tell you that maybe you're not thinking about this from a certain perspective, but you should. The fact that major operations like the military, okay, are using gaming to, I'm going to use this word here, lure in younger prospects, getting them into the military so they agree to sign the paper without even really thinking. And they're creating this challenge in their mind for something, guys, that is not real. It's a facade. It's a belief that they want these gamers to believe, so they will sign up and give X years to the military. I think that's a problem. And it's a problem because it changes the whole world. Okay? It's a problem because we change the whole world. And I will tell you that this whole world is very, very different. Very different. It's different because people are not playing fair. And I don't just mean people, I mean organizations, I mean the government, I mean large corporations. They're playing games to, like I said, lure people in. And that's bad, guys. Systems do not fail slowly, they fail instantly. Everything looks stable until one moment, bang. Suddenly everything's exposed. The weaknesses, the vulnerabilities. By the time you see it or become aware of it, it has already started and it's way too late. Most risks show up late. They build quietly over time. When they appear, it feels sudden, but it was never sudden. It was a building the entire time. If you take, let's say, a bottle of soda or carbonated drink, and you shake it, right, very vigorously, and you start to open the top just a little bit, but it's not really open, what's going to happen? That top is eventually going to blow off that bottle because enough pressure is being built up that it's going to allow it to just escape, to just take off like a rocket suddenly. But it happens over time. When pressure builds up, there has to be a release. There has to be a release. And if there isn't a release, well, there just has to be. There could be a gradual one or there could be an explosion, depending on whether we're talking chemicals, we're talking pressure. Doesn't matter. There has to be some way for that situation to get back into balance. And how does that happen? By our reaction. Again, whether it's chemical, whether it's physical, etc., doesn't matter, but it is going to happen time in and time out. That's important, guys. I don't know if you know this, but blue light, after many claims, people said it was ruining your sleep. They say it's not. You've been told screens are the problem. That's not the full truth. Experts are saying your phone's light is too weak to seriously impact sleep. The real issue is your habits, your schedule, and your overall light exposure. It's not the screen, it's your lifestyle. You know, when you get up in the morning, what's the first thing you do? I know I do my gratitude routine. Thank the creator for being here. But if you get your phone and you're scrolling, and you're saying, gee, it's the light. It's not the light. It's the fact that you need to be satisfied. So you're hooked in this bad habit loop. But the bad habit loop keeps stroking you in your brain because it's saying, this is great. You think it's great. You're feeling a feeling. But the feeling is actually coming for the wrong reasons. And now you built this habit up, which is a serious, guys, big problem. So something as simple as blue light. Blue light's not the problem. The issue is your habits. And I found that, being a keynote speaker and motivational speaker and also now a published author as of today, people don't want to hear the truth. I'm sorry. The reason they don't want to hear the truth is because they don't know if they can handle the truth. They don't know if what they're doing is something they want to keep doing or if it's something that they're just doing for today. Are they going to be able to get through their situation? Right? Are they? Every day, guys, tech is getting exposed. What am I talking about? Even at my own university. The way they solve things is they don't fix it with a patch. They block things. That's not a professional way to handle IT technologies and infrastructures and, access control. It seems simple, but it demonstrates proper execution. Proper execution. That's important to know. And maybe you're saying to me, John, this is something I don't quite understand. And I'll tell you the reason that it's because your brain is going a million different ways. And your brain's going this way because you're not really sure of a direction. And that's happening because you're going into quote unquote reactive mode. I said we can be in proactive mode or reactive mode. Reactive mode is when you understand those signals, right? And you better react now or it's going to cause consequences. That's not the way we want to live our life. That is very tiring. But if you understand that you need to be proactive before the signals show up and have a game plan, that's when your energy gets saved. But how many people do you know that plan? So I'm going to tell you something. If you don't plan to succeed, you have already planned to fail. Let me say that again. If you do not plan to succeed, you've already planned to fail. If you do not plan to succeed, you've already planned to fail. I know that sounds harsh, but guys, it is the doggone truth. We could sit here all day long and blame technology for why something is not working or say that this is a problem when we don't even have evidence that that's causing the problem. And by many doctors saying that blue light is not the problem. People don't want to hear it's their habits. They don't want to hear it's the way they're living because they don't want to take accountability. They don't want to take accountability. Technology, guys, is not just creating risk. Nope. It is revealing what already exists. Weak systems, outdated habits, and hidden gaps, ladies and gentlemen, are being exposed faster than ever before. A big reason for this is people are using artificial intelligence, that's bad actors, to exploit technology. And other people are using AI to try to combat their safety. But the engine kind of plays on both sides. It's not really neutral anymore. I think that's a real problem for so many people. And I think it's that way because of one thing. Because of something called belief. Belief is something very powerful, guys. Belief will allow you to either do something fully or stop you dead in your tracks. Why are things getting exposed faster? It's very simple. It's because AI is exploiting things in an exponential manner. Wait till we get to quantum technology. That's going to really rock this into an entirely different ballpark. Forget a ballpark, into an entirely different universe, we're saying. So, ladies and gentlemen, understanding this is very key to your success. Okay. So let's not blame blue light. Let's not blame things that we don't have a clue that aren't really the problem. The people who stay ahead are not the ones who ignore this. Nope. Let me say that again. The people who stay ahead are not the ones who ignore this. They are the ones who understand it. They are the ones that get proactive. They're not the ones that are reactive. Now, sometimes you may need to be reactive because of a situation, but you can't blame it all the time. Can't blame it all the time. The Holy Grail, guys, battery may finally be real. Yeah, this could change everything. Or could it just be another hype, a marketing ploy? A startup company now claims a breakthrough solid-state battery with faster charging, longer life, and higher range is available. But experts are still questioning the proof. If this is real, it could redefine electric vehicles overnight. But do we have data to show this? Or are we just kind of taking somebody's hearsay to say this is what's happening? And I know that might sound harsh, but many people will lie about stuff because they want to get their thing off the beaten path. They want to get their thing off the beaten path. And that can help people, you know what, guys? And it can harm people, unfortunately. Ladies and gentlemen, do not focus on what technology can do. Let me say that again. Please do not focus on what technology can do. Please do not focus on what technology can do. Focus on what it is showing you. Focus on what it is showing you. Why? Because what is being exposed today will clearly define what happens next. And as you're there and you're pondering these thoughts, you're saying to myself, hey, John, but where are we going? Why are we going down this path? Well, let's talk about tech getting exposed. Tech getting exposed a lot of different ways. We talked about bad actors that are basically trying to sniff around, appearing to have gotten in, but not taking anything. But really what they're taking is more valuable. It is your priceless information. That could be building layouts. That could be security guard schedules. That could be floor rotation schedules, right? And I think this is what a lot of people don't realize. If you have a box, right? I'm holding a box here. And you want to get in the box, there's more than one way, guys, to open up that box. There is more than one way to open up that box. And although we're probably taught to open up that box just one way, that is not the only way, guys. Not the only way. And if you put the pieces back wrong, guess what happens, guys? The box doesn't fully close. But there are more than one way to get into this box. 1, 2, top, bottom. I also could rip open, right? I could rip open the sides. I could pull this panel. I could just rip it open. But is that something the bad actors are going to do? Yes. They're not going to rip things apart. They're going to wait, like I said, till you make a mistake. And that will be accidental. You see, the bad actors know your pattern. They've been studying you for a very long time. They know when you smile. They know when you laugh. They know when you leave your home. They know when you come back. They know a lot of your schedule. They may know your banking schedule. They may know a lot of things that could be personal to you and your life. And they don't really say anything about it. They gather this intel about you. That's intelligence. And they try to figure out what's going on. Let's talk about this, guys. Police track phones without a warrant. Now, this has already happened, and most people never knew Nevada approved a system that let police track location data from apps in near real time. No warrant is needed, just data pulled from your device. Your phone was just there, but it was never just yours. So the question you might be asking is, does this happen in other states? Does happen in other states besides Nevada? And police phone tracking without a warrant, it's common practice in many states across the U.S., not just in Nevada. Law enforcement agencies across the country frequently utilize third-party data brokers such as Fog Reveal to access historical location data from apps, or use cell site simulators to track devices in real time without needing to show probable cause to a judge. Yeah. Widespread use of data tools. Police departments from California to North Carolina have used Fog Reveal to access millions of geolocation records and build patterns of life analysis without a warrant. This is according to many records obtained by lots of different journals. Other state examples, the ACLU has identified instances of warrantless phone tracking in various jurisdictions, including California, where police have been advised on techniques to clone phones, and in Utah, where authorities have left it to cellular carriers to decide when a warrant is necessary. There's a legal gray area there, guys. Although the 2018 Carpenter versus United States Supreme Court case ruled that police generally need a warrant to obtain historical cell phone location records from providers, many departments circumvent this by buying similar data from third-party data brokers, a method that currently constructs and operates in a legal gray area. Devices that simulate cell towers to pinpoint phone locations are used nationwide today, and some jurisdictions have not required warrants for their use despite the privacy concerns. While many states allow warrantless tracking, some have implemented strict privacy laws. Strong requirements. California, Utah, Montana, Virginia, Massachusetts are noted as having stronger requirements for law enforcement to obtain warrants for phone. New laws in states like New York, Minnesota, and others have passed legislation requiring location data. However, even in states with protections, emergency exceptions often allow police to bypass warrant requirements, and the use of commercially purchased big data remains a significant loophole. And you might be asking me, and it's a very good question, what is Fog Reveal? So, Fog Reveal. Fog Reveal is an interesting concept. It is an app that some police forces are using to track people without a warrant. Fog Reveal came to light when Electronic Frontier Foundation, a nonprofit that advocates for online civil liberties, was investigating location data brokers and uncovered the program through a Freedom of Information Act. Government use of Fog Reveal highlights a problematic difference. So Fog Reveal, everything smartphones have as advertising ID, a series of numbers that uniquely identify the device. Supposedly, advertising IDs are anonymous and not linked directly to the subscriber's name. In reality, that may not really be the case. Private companies and apps harness smartphone GPS capabilities, which provide detailed location data and advertising IDs, so that whenever a smartphone goes and anytime a user downloads an app or visits websites, it creates a trail Fog Data Science says it obtains this commercially available data from data brokers, permitting the tool to follow devices through their advertising IDs. While these numbers are in the mix, they do not contain the name of phone users. They can easily be traced to homes and workplaces to help police identify the user and establish pattern of life analysis. So the question is, can anybody download Fog Reveal? So that's a great question. No, the general public cannot download or use the Fog Reveal surveillance tool. It is a proprietary web-based surveillance service designed specifically for law enforcement agencies, and in some cases, private sector security clients to track mobile phone location data. It is not a public app for a subscription-based service, so you can't just go to the App Store and say you're going to go download it today. The key details about Fog Reveal: primarily local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies in the U.S. use it. The purpose to track the movement of mobile devices based on advertising IDs to locate suspects or witnesses. It can track millions of devices searching for activity within specific geographic coordinates over time. Access is strictly controlled through the Electronic Frontier Foundation Act, analyzed its functionality through procured documents and manuals showing it works via a restricted web portal. There is a separate, unrelated Fog Reveal app mentioned, LumeOplay, which is for interactive displays, but this has nothing to do with the law enforcement of surveillance software. So the question is, how do they use Fog Reveal to track people? And I think that's an interesting question, and I think it brings some highlights that come up. It's a surveillance tool, and I said to you, so it gathers data from commercial data brokers, pattern of life analysis by identifying a unique ad ID at a specific location. Users can map where that phone goes, including searching data. So how to use Fog ID to track people? What do they need to track someone? So that's a good question. This will kind of shock you a little bit. So Fog Reveal is a web-based surveillance tool that purchasing location data from the commercial data brokers. They use geofence tools and access to Fog Reveal. In case you're wondering, an agency must subscribe to the service, which costs, you ready, guys? Here it comes, $7,500 per year. A Fog ID or advertising ID, a unique identification number assigned to every smartphone. Apple IDFA or Google GAID is there. A specific geographical area and time range to trigger a data search. The tool relies on information harvested from hundreds of popular apps that sell user data, which is then sold to Fog Data Science. So here's an interesting thing for you guys. When you download an app and it's supposed to be confidential, be wary about some apps because they may be selling your data, that's your privacy, off to companies like Fog Data and other people. So that's a very, very big problem. And I get the reason for it, but I think there needs to be more control in place. Yeah. A company recently paid $99 million over repair restrictions. This already happened, and it is bigger than one company. Who? John Deere agreed to a $99 million settlement over claims it blocked farmers from fixing their own equipment. The fight for the right to repair is real, and it's growing. If you not control your tech, well, guess what? You're going to pay for it. And iPhone UK users were asked to prove their ages. This already is happening, and it signals a major shift. Apple began requiring UK users to verify they are over 18 or face restricted access. This is part of a tighter child safety ruling, but it also changes how private your device really is. Your phone is becoming an identity checkpoint. New mystery energy source was just revealed. And this is not oil, guys. It's not solar. It's not nuclear. A small U.S. company claimed it unlocked a massive clean energy source in Utah that could last 30,000 years. Major billionaires were already quietly backing it. If this is real, it could change the entire energy market. But no one knows if this is real or not. So I think we've got to stay on our guard. I think people put nonsense out there every day. But there's no proof that this is real. It could be, and I'll keep an eye on to see what's going on. But I think the real challenge right now, when we think about security, when we think about our data, when we think about the fact that your data is not your data is public, and it's going across the internet. And that data is going to different people. So make sure you understand their privacy policies. For if you don't, well, you might be kicking yourself later to say, wait, how did they get my data? Very simple. They got it from you when you signed up for the app. Yeah, that's a real kick in the butt, right? You created this problem. Well, did you create it directly? Not directly, indirectly. You signed up for an app. You gave your information. You gave your email, and bam, your iPhone is suddenly this magical device that tells people where you are. Now, I know a lot of people that say, their data is confidential. And I get that, guys. I really do get that. But when you are dealing with a service, you have to understand their TOS, their terms of service and conditions. Many people do not read the fine print on these websites. And then they cry and complain that their data is being exploited. Well, hello. You signed up, you clicked OK, you approved it, and bam. Well, you don't have anything. You don't have privacy. Also, things that are free, they're not really free. Free often compromises your privacy. We talk about different types of VPNs and using public Wi-Fi in airports. It's free. But is that free costing you? Maybe you need to deploy a secure, VPN so your traffic is blocked. But make sure it's actually doing that. Because some systems do a little more. Some public Wi-Fi systems, not many, but there are a few, that ask you to download an app, install it. That app is privately policing your data. I get why they're doing it. Okay, I get that. They want to make sure you don't go to certain sites and things like that. But there's ways to do that without having to be, let's say, mischievous. And the more we think about AI, we blame AI. We blame that this is causing a problem. But the real problem is not the AI. The AI is the tool. It's how people are choosing to use AI and implement it that makes it good or makes it bad. Yeah. So tech is exposing everything quickly. For those of you that take Easy Pass, right, on the Parkway or Turnpike, wherever you are, or anywhere in the country, Easy Pass has your account number, okay? And they could track you with that tag within so many miles. Now, they can't, it's not like an check anywhere in the world. It's not like that. But they can tell how much time it'll take you to get from this toll to that toll. And if your time is, let's say, faster than it should be, they could issue a ticket. We have that technology in place, and don't be surprised if they use it. A lot of these agencies are looking for ways they can make money, even if they're going to, let's say, annoy the public. So we learned today that a lot of these systems out there are a problem because of non-transparency. Non-transparency. That's a problem. With AI exposing things every second, right? The key that you have in your house protects your home. But now AI has found thousands or millions of these keys. And guess what? Your digital doors are now wide open. If your systems aren't locked down, you're already exposed. I know lots of people that have their password saved to their computer. Wonderful. Make sure you enable two-factor. I think people need to be more aware of their data and what they're doing with their data. I think that's a very, very, big problem. If people are not aware of their data, oh guys, that's a big, big problem. A problem that I think will really cause issues with lots of people. Okay. And you might be saying to me, John, well, this isn't going to affect me. I got news for you guys. It will affect every single person. Okay. Every single person. But the key is you may not be aware of it yet. You may not know what's exposed. Because, ladies and gentlemen, what is being exposed today, as I said, will define what happens next. It's no longer just about data. It comes to something called control. Control. But they're doing it in a very devious kind of way. If I asked you right now, safe and secure, many of you would say yes, but how do you know? If your Social Security number were to fall out of your wallet, and most people don't have them in their wallets, but let's say the card fell out of your wallet. What's the worst that could happen? Somebody could take that Social Security number. They could open credit in your name. There's two ways to prevent this. One, don't lose your card. Well, that's not really a reason. Number one is you can talk to all the credit agencies, TRW, Equifax, and Experian, and say, hey, I want to lock my credit file. And by locking my credit file, no one's going to be able to open any accounts. And you just have to reach out to them if you want to open it. The other way is by using a type of privacy protection service that monitors your credit reporting service. And a lot of them have these functions in them whereby if somebody attempts to do something, they will call you. They will email you. This triggers this alert. And if you don't respond, guess what happens? An account can get locked down. So we're not trying to make things difficult, but we're trying to make them more secure. And I get that doing this causes more inconvenience. I'd rather have more convenience every day. I know our bank, for the corporate side, for a long time was sending us, through Treasury Management, was sending us an email. In addition to going through the two-factor and all that, they're then sending you an email if they want to validate you. Maybe you're at a different IP. It's been a long period of time. And then after you've done that, they'll let you in. But sometimes that location is not known or they're not sure. So you know what they do? Very simple. They will say, we're sending you an email. Enter the code in. Just got an email about a week ago saying, hey, this new system is being implemented for the regular website, not the Treasury Management site, but just the regular business portal site. So I think these are definitely things that are going to help with security. And they're also going to maybe cause some inconvenience, some annoyance. But I can tell you something. If they're implementing them, they're for a reason. And that reason is to make sure that you and other clients' data stays out of bad actors' hands. So tech is exposing things. What else is tech exposing? You go to a website, you fill something out, and you don't know if the site is secure by having a solid locker key or HTTPS. You haven't checked to see that the site actually belongs to the same people or website name or doing business name. These are very powerful things, guys. So tech is exposing everything very quickly. These are data points. They're data points. You know, in some countries, like India and stuff, the minute you get off the plane, a camera is watching you. There are cameras everywhere. And that's not a great way to live. Over there, they say they have freedom, but everybody's on camera. In India, they do something very interesting. They not only track you on camera, they track your gait, the way you walk. Maybe you've worn different clothing, but you still have the same gait, the same walk. So a lot of times people will change their clothing and they will change their step or two. So they vary it. So this way the computer doesn't pick them up because it's varied. It matches the gait with their look. And now that it doesn't match, you're like, oh, wait a minute. This isn't that person. But they're matching gait. I haven't seen that anywhere else. I think that's definitely a violation of privacy. So whether we're talking about an airport, we're talking about a train station, getting into, a stadium for a sports event or concert, we need to be mindful about how all this stuff is playing out, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to catch all of the latest shows. This show, the other shows. You can learn more about Drain to Driven, which I told you about before. Really excited about that. Just launched today by visiting believemeachieve.com. And, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand something. Your data is more valuable than you think. Yeah. Maybe you're saying to me, John, my data is not that important. Well, it is. You might say that my family's data, my children's data is not that important. They don't have any credit. They don't have any money that they're making yet. Right. I get it. Bad actors are smart. They use preschools. They use schools so they can literally put them in the computer, track early. And as soon as assets get attached to their name, bam, they're right on them to grab them. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Whether this is audio or whether this is the full video cast to the show today, the Jay Moore Tech Talk Show. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, I know sometimes things might seem too good to be true, and they often are, especially when they're choosing to exploit your security. So be aware of when and where you enter data and for what purpose. Because if there's pressure to do something, there might be consequences later. Have yourself a great one, everyone, and be well, and check out believemeachieve.com.